Hello, everyone. Thank you for checking out this special episode of Really Dicey. This is Manny, and I am here with.
Hi, I'm Spader, freelance writer for Star Trek Adventures, the role-playing game, and also the co-author of Sentience 2D20, which we're getting to talk about tonight.
Exactly. But before we talk about that, first, congratulations. I heard you won an award for your work on Star Trek Adventures.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So at the UK Game Expo, we got an award for Best RPG Supplement, which was the Utopia Planitia uh, TOS era cover, which was pretty awesome. We were really excited about that when we found out.
Hmm. So, Sentience. Now, it's not just a random title you put on a book. This is a book that explores life for robots. So yeah, can you explain this to us?
Yeah, so Sentience started off as kind of almost like a joke initially, way back when the 5E thing blew up online. Every day I was posting ideas for different role-playing games that people could go out and design. And one of the things I said was terraforming robots have gained sentience on a planet, and you role play them building a society. And I didn't think anything of it. And then I got a couple of direct messages that were like, hey, that sounds like a really cool concept. And so I had finished up a big Star Trek project and had about a month and a half before I was going to be getting my next one. And I was like, you know what? I'm putting Sentience together because at the same time, Modifius announced their World Builders program, which gives people an opportunity to use the 2D20 system to write their own content, which is pretty cool.
But for those that may not be familiar with this, what exactly is the World Builders Program?
So the what I can compare it to is a lot of these different companies allow you to write content using their game system and sell on Drivethru RPG. We used to do it for D&D Adventures League when we could do creator content and things like that. I think Pathfinder lets you do it now. Kobold lets you do it now. Lots of different companies have let people get on board with that. Well, Modiphius started the program, and they were basically saying that they wanted to create their competitors. So they said you can use our system. You have to create your own IP to use that with that system. So like I couldn't like write a Star Trek mission on my own, go and sell it online because there's rights issues and things like that. And when I was thinking about sentience, I was like, this might actually transfer to the 2D20 system really well. And what we came up with was pretty cool and worked out pretty awesome.
Hmm. So sentience. Can you tell us more? So this is not just a generic setting. This is a specific setting that you made. What can you tell us about it?
So, one of the things, my goal when I was creating the system was I wanted to give you all the sandbox and let the players come up with the minutia. So, basically, the story of Sentience is there were a bunch of robots that were dropped off on a planet to terraform it for human beings. Humanity left to go elsewhere and probably terraform a different planet and so on and so forth. Well, at some point in time, all these robots, like a large portion of them, gain sentience in an act called the Awakening. And nobody knows what caused the awakening. The robots have been studying it, trying to figure it out. And this world has not been able to determine why is it that all of a sudden we understand ourselves, like we have a sense of self. We have these weird things called emotions that we toil with every day. And so not every robot on the planet gained sentience, but most did. So it's just a really cool setting for you to uh, create a world, create a society with almost a blank slate.
Hmm. And obviously, it could be robots, but it's what options exactly can you be as a robot?
So the way that it works is when you create your character, you choose a role that you had, like what you were designated for when you were on the planet. Were you a builder? Were you an analyst? Were you a recycler? and there are 6 different roles. Those roles give you your base skills, basically, because you were programmed with those skills. After you choose which one of those 6 roles you were a part of, you then go through like a life path process, similar to like Star Trek Adventures. And this life path process talks about like, well, how did you react when the awakening happened? Right? Really to get you think about like what, how did this affect me? And as you do that, you get your other set of stats, which is very unique in this game. We use emotions. So, like, is it sadness? Is it anger? Is it pride? Is it happiness? And you build up those emotions as you tell this story of your or during your character creation. So, um, you determine as a group how far after the awakening you want to role play. Is it 3 years? Is it 10 years? You know, is it, if it's 10 years, you might have more of a society built. If it's 3 years, it might be more like the Wild West, you know? Um, so that's kind of the way that we designed or put character design into the game.
So, can you share with us a little bit? You sort of hinted at it at this already, but how did you? Was this difficult to integrate this to the 2D20 system?
Well, luckily, I've played a good portion of Modifius's 2D20 games, and I was looking at just basic attributes like you would see in Dungeons and Dragons or Star Trek Adventures, and I was thinking to myself, like, it would be way more powerful to think about how a character feels in a given situation, and how those feelings are now governing the programs that you have, that humanity put in you, right? So like, yeah, I might be really good at surviving because humanity has built all this stuff into my programming and things like that, but am I surviving out of fear, or am I trying to survive because of happiness? Am I trying to, you know what I mean? Like, so basically what I said was these 6 emotions are monitoring your core programming, because these emotions are monitoring uh, what's programmed inside of you, you can use different emotions through the course of a mission. In fact, I actually, one of the things when you level up at the end of a mission, it says, did you use at least 4 of your 6 emotions appropriately? Because I think that it's very, it challenges a role player to really think about who they are and who they're becoming, and it allows to tell story arcs as well.
Hmm. Are there game master tools in the sense of is there like a bestiary? Is there something that if they need, if the game master needs like an antagonist of some sort, it can be made for the game?
Yeah, so right now the quick start is out that has an antagonist group known as the Open Arms, and there are a couple of creatures in there. The core rulebook has about a dozen and a half creatures in there that you can use as either allies or enemies. Um, the release schedule that I'm looking at for more stuff is we're going to get more content out there as far as missions go. So the next thing that I'm going to do is release a book that has 4 missions in it, and I'm also writing an additional mission to put into the core rulebook, which I didn't have the opportunity to do initially.
Hmm.
Um, then we probably be looking at a bestiary and things like that in the future, eventually.
Hmm. So I'm sure you've play tested this so much. What characters, if I may ask, what characters have you made that you're the most happy that you have made for this game?
So there we use a lot of the pre-generated characters right now because it gives everybody a similar experience, and gets the feel for the game. So there are 6 characters, one for each role. There's Viola Lystrom has been a fan favorite. Viola is a recycling robot that basically cleans up after everyone and makes sure that everything that is collected gets uh, put back into the processing facilities. The 3D printers get reloaded, things like that. And I've seen some characters or some players play the character in similar ways, but I've also seen a few play them very differently, which is cool. Like a lot of people start immediately going to the Wall-E concept from Disney, um, but Viola is really cool. I have another Doran Dal, who is basically like an engineer, and he he fancies tap dancing and juggling and fun things like that like they've learned about humanity that they've been practicing. So he's often a lot of fun as well.
You mentioned Wally. Do you feel that this game is allows um, any group of players to play this as a very, um, I guess you could say, different levels of maturity for something like very, very heavy, like Bradbury level type of like role playing, or it could be just like a Disney Wally type of level, where it's not so dangerous, but it's just it's fun and lots of exploration to do. Is that your game allowed that flexibility?
Yeah, it allows for that, and also like we've included like cyborgs, so there's more humanish looking robots as well for people who feel more comfortable with that. People that want to look more abstract absolutely can do that as well, right? Like one of the NPCs in the quick start adventure is just a giant assembly arm, just a giant assembly arm on wheels. Like, so like it allows people to get really, really creative. But the interesting part is what I would love to see happen with this game at some point in time, once it catches on a little bit, is I would love to see it used in schools, because I think that it can allow people that have some emotional regulation issues to really work through those issues by role playing as a robot that's working through the issues. Like sometimes it's hard to get kids to open up about what's bothering them emotionally, but sometimes it can come out when they're playing or when they're doing other things. Same thing is true. Listen, robots are inherently gender neutral, right? So this system can also allow for kids that are maybe having some gender questioning their gender, things like that, as like a mode to kind of work through these ideas with an adult and their friends in some cases.
Hmm. Um, so Modifius, so how should I word this question? Because there's so many ways I want to talk about using other game systems. So, like, if someone made a character in Sentience, do you feel that, let's say they want to take this character, like, oh, I want to put this in Star Trek or something like that. Does your system allow that type of flexibility, or is it really made to be just self-contained?
So I believe that with all the 2D20 games can be used together if you're just using your system's rules. And realistically speaking, this idea of robots that are on a planet that are sentient out of nowhere could fit right into a Star Trek type story and whatnot. But so the way that the World Builders program works is anything that you create is your IP, and anything that you add to the 2D20 system, uh, everyone who's in the World Builders program could use. So if somebody wanted to write a different RPG using emotions, which is something that I created, they can. That's now part of the World Builders program. And the one thing that you can't do is you just can't write stuff for any settings that Modifius owns the IP to. So like Dune's off limits, Fallout's off limits, Star Trek's off limits, because you can't sell those off because they have to send stuff to the companies that own the rights and whatnot first. But if you are an adaptable GM, you could absolutely just bring sentient robots into Star Trek or Dune or whatever, right?
Hmm. I ask only because I have a friend and we talk about making a soon Android for Star Trek, and they were like, well, why is that the only type of artificial intelligence that you can be? Like it could be other options, different ways. I'm sure, like we're debating, like can there be other different, and do they have to look humanoid? Also, can they look, as wild as sometimes Star Wars does their droids, for example, like their artificial intelligence. So I'm just curious about that, and I think this might be like a uh, something that they could look at as its own thing, as well as like if they're looking for maybe additional options to help. That's why I ask. Um,
Yeah, I mean, so it still uses momentum, it still uses threat. Determination is still there. Well, in some ways. So yeah, it's easily adaptable.
all right, excellent. So, if I may ask, how big is this? Is this document?
Let's see. I've got it pulled up in a separate window. Let's go right now. So it's currently 126 pages. That's going to increase by a little bit because I still have to add an index and the mission that I'm writing at this point in time, which I think people are going to fall in love with. But yeah, that's and it's free. It's all free. It's pay what you want. If you want to throw some money my way, great. I'll just spend it on more art in the future. But like because I'm not great at using things like InDesign or Photoshop or anything like that. Literally, this entire book was just put together on Microsoft Word. And with the thoughts that I'm going to get this out into the hands of people. And if I make a little bit of money, I take that money and I put it towards layout. And I've actually done that. Tony Pye has done a fantastic job doing layout for me, and that will get uploaded into Drivethru RPG. Anyone who's grabbed the book already will get the new fully laid out version, and it'll be set up for print on demand, which I'm hoping that we'll gain access to this year at some point.
Hmm. If I may ask, because I could tell that the philosophy or the world building aspect of this game is really important to you. What were some of your inspirations? Where did you go to put this together?
So there were a lot of different things that we were looking at. So we do call out some Asimov stuff. We try to not necessarily make that a philosophy that the robots are prescribing to on the planet. But we do want, and we do want to give nods to that. Westworld was another thing that I considered a lot as I was going through this. The exocomps from Star Trek Next Generation, you know what I mean? Like, so that's where we started going, and then I was like, I could 100% tell the GMs what caused the awakening and what's going to happen when humanity returns. But I think that's really restraining. I'd rather give you the GM the opportunity to say, well, maybe humanity is going to be angry that the robots are alive, or maybe they're going to feel bad, or maybe someone planted this awakening virus in the computer system on purpose. Like, there's just lots of story ideas out there um, that you can do that I didn't want to like pigeonhole you or the GMs in general into a single concept. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. No, I can understand that. Um, Excellent. All right. So is this available right now on Drive-Thru RPG, you said?
Yep. Drivethru If you look up Sentience 2D20, you'll see the quick starts there, and the core rulebook is there. The quick start has shorter rules and a mission that you can run with 6 pre-gens. The core rulebook has a lot more detailed rules and whatnot, as well as like weapons tables and things like that. And hopefully, within the next month, it'll be updated with a nice print-on-demand layout and a mission inside of that as well.
Hmm. Excellent. So before we wrap up, oh, let me backtrack a little bit. So yes, I'll put a link in the description below for anyone that wants to check it out on Drivethru RPG. I'll send them where to go. Before we wrap up, is there any last words, anything you want to say about your project, about
So one of the
Sentience?
things, yeah. So listen, here's the thing. Right now, artificial intelligence is out there. It's a very big topic, especially in our industry, right? With artificial intelligence stories, artificial intelligence artwork, and things like that. And I think it's a very scary time for a lot of people working in the industry with artificial intelligence potentially, looming to take over our jobs and whatnot. And so, like, one of the things that I was really thinking about was, well, what if there was something great in the end, right? Like, what if this struggle with artificial intelligence leads to something that is beautiful and hopeful and whatnot? And that's kind of what Sentience is about. It's like, yes, we have hardworking artists whose art is being stolen by these electronic algorithms uh, at this time, right? And um, and that's very scary and sad. However, if we can just get beyond that and have faith that, you know, if this artificial intelligence was somehow to gain intelligence, that they might say, "Oh, sorry we stole your stuff." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and Sentience, you can actually have this positive society that might have some of the same hiccups that humanity has had throughout its history, right? So I think looking at intelligence in general, and this artificial intelligence wave that's been passing by, it's really important to think that we will come out on the other side of this in a better place. And hopefully Sentience can show us how we can come out in a better place.
Hmm. Oh, that's a great way to end this segment. Thank you so much for sharing with us about Sentience, the RPG. For some reason, when I first heard of this, my mind's thinking about Rom the Space Knight setting for this. So I'll maybe explore that maybe in a future video. But yeah, Al, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about this project and to our viewers. I'll put a link in the description below. Have a great day. Be safe. We'll see you soon.